the warrior with the seven-layered shield, stood up before them. He was angry and stared back at the Trojan shore, the Greek ships on the beach, and then spoke with a grim face. "Zeus," he said, "we Argives are pleading our case here by the ships, and Odysseus dares to compete with me. He didn't hesitate to run away from Hector's flames, which I faced and drove back from our fleet. It's safer for him to fight with clever words than with his hands. But I'm not good at speeches, and he's not good at fighting. My skill lies in fierce warfare, and his lies in talking. I don't think I need to remind you Pelasgians Greeks of my deeds. You've witnessed them yourselves. Let Odysseus tell you about his accomplishments, the ones he did in secret with only the night as his witness. I know the prize we seek is great, but having Odysseus as my rival makes it seem less valuable. Even a great thing isn't something to be proud of if Odysseus also wanted it. He's already gotten a reward in this competition. Even if he loses, he'll be known for competing against me. And if my strength was ever questioned, I should still win because of my noble birth. I am the son of Telamon, who conquered Troy with the mighty Hercules. He also sailed to Colchis on the ship Argo. His father was Aeacus, who now judges the silent dead in the underworld, where the heavy stone eternally crushes Sisyphus, son of Aeolus. Zeus himself is the father of Aeacus and acknowledges him as his son. So Ajax is only 3 generations removed from Zeus. Yet Greeks, don't let my noble family line be the only reason I win this case. After all, Achilles and I shared this lineage. I'm simply asking for what belonged to my cousin. Why does someone descended from the deceitful Sisyphus, so much like him in thefts and lies, dare to bring his family's name into the discussion of the descendants of Aeacus? Should I be denied the armor because I took up arms before him and without needing anyone to tell me to? Should someone who was the last to fight and who pretended to be mad to avoid war be seen as better? It was Nauplius' son, more cunning than Odysseus but ultimately more unfortunate, who exposed Odysseus' cowardly trickery. He dragged Odysseus out to fight, the very battle he had been avoiding. So, let the one who would have taken no armor at all take the best armor. Let me be dishonored and stripped of the prize that belonged to my cousin, who always faced danger head-on. I almost wish that madness of Odysseus had been real, or at least believed to be real. Then he would have never joined us on our journey to Troy, this evil advisor. Then, son of Pois Philoctetes, you wouldn't have been abandoned on Lemnos because of our mistake. They say you're now trapped in a cave, groaning in pain and wishing for what Odysseus deserves. May the gods grant you your wish, whatever it may be. Ajax kept arguing for the armor. He said he saved Odysseus' life during a battle. Odysseus was scared and trembling, but Ajax protected him with his shield. If you insist on competing for the armor, Ajax challenged Odysseus, let's go back to that battlefield. Let the enemy, your wound, and your usual fear return. Hide behind my shield again and fight me then. But after I saved you, you who were too weak to stand because of your wounds before, you ran away even though you weren't injured anymore. Ajax continued bragging about his achievements. He said he faced Hector in battle and even stopped him with a giant rock. He reminded the Greeks that they all prayed for him to fight Hector. When the Trojans attacked the Greek ships with fire and sword, Ajax said, "Where was the eloquent Odysseus? I, on the other hand, protected all your ships with my body." He argued that the armor would be a better fit for him than Odysseus. The armor is glorious, and Ajax deserves the glory. Odysseus, on the other hand, is known for his sneaky tactics, not fighting. The armor would be too heavy and cumbersome for him, and it would even slow him down when he tries to run away, which is what he's best at. Why do you even want this armor that will only weaken you? Ajax concluded, if the Greeks make a mistake and give it to you, you'll be an easier target for the enemy, not someone they should fear. Ajax finished his speech, and the crowd murmured in agreement. Now it was Odysseus' turn to speak. Odysseus acknowledged that the competition is now about their deeds, not just their lineage. He argued that his accomplishments speak for themselves, even though he may not be the best at bragging about them. He recounted his role in finding Achilles. He disguised himself and infiltrated the women's quarters where Achilles was hidden. Odysseus convinced Achilles to fight for Troy, and therefore Odysseus claims credit for Achilles' achievements. Odysseus listed his other accomplishments, defeating Telephus, conquering several cities, and playing a key role in finding a way to sacrifice Agamemnon's daughter, appeasing the gods, and allowing the Greek fleet to sail. He also reminded everyone that he was the brave ambassador who went to Troy, argued for Helen's return, and even impressed Priam and some Trojans. He contrasted his bravery with Ajax, who apparently ran away when the Greeks almost left Troy. Odysseus pointed out that while Ajax is a great warrior, he doesn't contribute much beyond fighting. Odysseus, on the other hand, uses his intelligence and leadership throughout the war, keeping the Greeks motivated and ensuring their success. Odysseus continued his speech, emphasizing his contributions to the war beyond battlefield bravery. He recounted how he rallied the Greeks who were about to abandon the siege of Troy. He shamed them into staying and fighting. He also mentioned how he silenced Thersites, a soldier who spoke disrespectfully to the leaders. Odysseus then highlighted his accomplishments as a spy. He went on a dangerous mission at night, captured and interrogated a Trojan named Dolon, learned valuable information about the Trojan plans, and even killed Dolon and his companions. He also infiltrated the enemy camp, killed a Thracian prince named Rhesus and his men, and stole their chariot. Odysseus downplayed Ajax's claim of protecting the entire Greek fleet. He reminded everyone of his own battles, where he killed many Trojan warriors, including Lycian Sarpedon, a mighty ally of Troy. Odysseus then revealed the scars on his chest, proof of the many battles he fought for the Greeks. He contrasted this with Ajax, who apparently has no wounds despite all his boasting. Odysseus acknowledged that Ajax did fight bravely, but he shouldn't take all the credit for defending the Greek ships. Patroclus, disguised as Achilles, also played a part. He also pointed out that Ajax wasn't the only one who fought Hector. Finally, Odysseus reminded everyone of the grief and danger he faced when he retrieved Achilles' body and armor from the battlefield. He argued that his bravery, intelligence, and leadership throughout the war make him more deserving of the armor than Ajax. Ajax was beside himself with rage. "So my heavenly mother Thetis," he roared, was so worried about her precious son that she had to send a mere brawny soldier, a man with no brains at all, to wear these magnificent, divinely crafted arms? He won't understand the engravings on the shield, the ocean, the earth, the stars, the heavens, the Pleiades, the Hyades, the bear that avoids the sea, the different cities, and Orion's blazing sword. He insists on getting these arms, even though he doesn't understand them. And he dares to accuse me of shirking my duty in this bloody war, of coming late to a fight that's already begun? Doesn't he realize he's insulting the great Achilles by saying that? If he thinks deception is a crime, then we're both guilty. If delay is a fault, then I was here before him. A loving wife held me back, a loving mother held Achilles back. We both spent our early days with them, and the rest of the time we've been fighting for you. I'm not worried if I can't defend myself against this accusation, since I'm being accused along with such a great man. Odysseus may have been able to expose me with his cunning, but I outsmarted him too. And so that you won't be surprised by his childish insults against me, let me tell you about the shameful things he's done to you too. Was it honorable for you to condemn Polymedes based on my false accusations? But Polymedes, son of Nauplius, couldn't defend himself against such a clear and serious crime. You didn't just hear the accusations against him, you saw the evidence with your own eyes. The bribe itself proved his guilt. And I shouldn't be blamed because Philoctetes, son of Pois, is still on Lemnos, the island of Vulcan. Greeks, you made that decision yourselves. I won't deny that I advised him to remove himself from the war and the journey, to try to ease his horrible pain with rest. He agreed, and he's still alive. That advice wasn't just well-meaning, it was also fortunate, even if it was only meant to be well-meaning. Since our prophets say we need him to destroy Troy, don't leave it up to me. Telamon's son would be better for this task. He can use his eloquence to either calm the hero who is maddened by disease and anger, or he can cleverly use some trick to bring him back. It's more likely that the Simois River will flow backward, or that Mount Ida will stand without leaves, or that Greece will promise to help Troy, than it is that the Greeks will benefit from the skills of the stupid Ajax if I'm not actively working in your best interests. Even if you're enraged against your friends and the king Philoctetes, Ajax continued, even if you curse me and eternally damn my head, even if you wish you could meet me in your anguish, perhaps to spill my blood, and even if you'd take the opportunity to meet me if we crossed paths, I'll still try to bring you back. And if fortune favors me, I'll surely possess your arrows, just as I possessed the Trojan prophet I captured. I revealed the pronouncements of the gods and the fate of Troy, and I carried off the hidden statue of Phrygian Athena from the enemy's midst. And Ajax dares to compare himself to me? The fates wouldn't allow Troy to be captured without that statue. Where is the valiant Ajax now? Where are the boastful words of that mighty man? Why are you trembling here? Why does Odysseus dare to go past the guards, entrust himself to the night, and enter not only the walls of Troy but even its highest towers through deadly swords, to tear the goddess from her shrine and carry her off, thus stolen, from the midst of the enemy? If I hadn't done these things, Ajax said, the son of Telamon would be uselessly carrying the 7 hides of bulls on his left arm. Victory over Troy was won by me that night. I conquered Pergamus then, when I made it possible to conquer it. Stop using your looks and muttering to point out Diomedes to me. He deserves some of the glory for these things too. You weren't alone when you grabbed your shield to defend the allied fleet. You had a lot of men with you while I was alone. If they didn't know that a strong soldier is less valuable than a wise one, and that the reward doesn't go to the invincible right hand, they would all be asking for these arms. Chieftains, Ajax boomed, grant me your loyal servant this reward. After years of worry and struggle, give me this honor to make up for my service. Our fight is almost over. I've turned the tide of fate, and by making Troy vulnerable, I've practically conquered the mighty Pergamum myself. Remember our shared hopes, the doomed walls of Troy, the gods I recently rescued from the enemy. Remember anything left to achieve through strategy, any daring feat to be accomplished, anything Troy needs for its final fall. If so, then remember me. If not these arms, then grant them too. The leaders were swayed by Ajax's speech. Here was proof of the power of words. But the smooth-talking Odysseus was awarded the armor of the valiant Achilles. Ajax, who had faced Hector, the sword, flames, and even Zeus himself alone countless times, could not now withstand his own wrath. Grief overpowered the invincible warrior. Ajax grabbed his sword and declared, "At least this is mine. Will Odysseus steal this too? I'll use it on myself. This blade, often drenched in Phrygian blood, will now spill its owners. No one but Ajax himself will conquer Ajax." With those words, he plunged the deadly sword into his chest, receiving his first wound. He couldn't pull out the weapon, the blood itself forced it out. The earth, stained red, produced a purple flower from the green grass, the same kind that grew from the wound of Hyacinth. Letters spelling both sorrow and Ajax's name were marked on the flower's petals. The victorious Odysseus set sail for the land of Hypsipyle and Thoas, a place infamous for the slaughter of husbands. His mission was to retrieve the arrows, the weapons of the hero Heracles. After bringing them back to the Greeks, along with their rightful owner, the long war finally reached its end. Troy and its king Priam fell together. Priam's wretched wife, Hecuba, even lost her human form and filled the foreign air with her barks. Where the Hellespont Strait narrows, Ilium was ablaze. The flames raged on, and the altar of Zeus had soaked up the little blood spilled from the aged Priam. The priestess of Apollo, dragged by her hair, reached her hands to the sky in vain. Victoriously, the Greeks dragged away Trojan women. These women clung to their burning temples and embraced the statues of their gods, a coveted spoil. Astyanax, Hector's son, was thrown from the same towers his mother used to show him from, where he'd watch his father fight for himself and defend his ancestral kingdom. Now the north wind Boreas called for their departure. With favorable winds, the sails billowed and the sailors urged them to seize the opportunity. "Farewell, Troy," the Trojan women cried. "We are taken away." They kissed the ground and left their homeland's smoldering roofs behind. The last to board the fleet, a horrific sight, was Hecuba. They found her among the tombs of her children. Men from Dulichium dragged her away as she clung to their graves and kissed their bones. Yet, she managed to take out the ashes of one child, Hector's ashes, and carry them with her in her bosom. On Hector's tomb, she left her gray hair, a humble offering, her hair and her tears. Across from Phrygia, where Troy once stood, lay the land of the Bistones. There stood the opulent palace of Polymnestor, to whom Hecuba's husband Priam had secretly sent their son Polydorus to be raised away from the dangers of Troy. It would have been a wise decision, if not for the vast wealth included, a reward for the crime and an enticement for greed. When Troy fell, the wicked king of the Bistones plunged his sword into Polydorus' throat, his foster child. As if throwing away the body would erase the crime, he cast Polydorus lifeless from a cliff into the water below.